Hi, Book 2, welcome to Jackie's Literary Corner. I am Jackie, and I thought I would try something different, um, and film in front of one of my bookshelves, like I used to do, while standing, um, and picking out what I'm gonna read, as a way to pick out what I'm gonna read. Um, Now, I'm a big fan of people who do TBR games, but I'm not that creative, and I also don't have the patience for creating TBR games or the artistic talent for that. Not that it requires a whole lot of talent. They're not like Picasso's or anything, but I know you guys probably wouldn't care, but I would care. Um, so I just don't. And I also don't want to come off as like I'm copying off of doing something that everyone else is doing. You know. And so when I'm picking out my TBR, I already struggle enough as that is because I end up going overboard and picking out way too many books. Which I'm probably gonna do that anyway. This might be like the next 2 months TBR. I don't know yet. But I had tried to film this on November 2nd, but the video felt very chaotic, and I didn't really like it, so I just made a book haul video where I talked about the books that I got between the last day in October, Halloween, and then November 1st through the 2nd. So now I'm doing the TBR. So it's a little late, but I'm gonna do it anyway. This is kind of experimental. Like I said, I like the whole TBR games, but I wouldn't be good at creating those. So, it's kind of too late to create one now. I mean, I could create one. I attempted to. I thought about for like a second and tried to do something earlier this year, and it just fell through. So, as much as I like the idea, I probably will never do it. I mean, if you guys have any ideas for me, would love to hear them. But anyway, so first off, I did finish one of my library books, The Glass Castle. I liked it. It was good. It's not like my all-time favorite book, but I still enjoyed it. It was a quick read. And then now I'm getting. Then the other two library books I'm definitely gonna read this month are Friday on My Mind, a Nikki French book. This is a mystery. And it's part of a series. I'm assuming 7 books because there's one for each day of the week. There's this one, Friday on My Mind. And then there's Blue Monday, Tuesday's Gone, I'm Waiting for Wednesday, and Thursday's Children. I don't know what Saturday is called, the Saturday book is called, or the Sunday. But, so this is the Friday book. I don't know why the author, well, I guess maybe that's the day the crime was committed or something. Maybe that's why, it's called that. Like I said in the book haul, this is, Jen Campbell's favorite series, and Nikki French's her favorite author, which I also mentioned that it's a husband and wife team. So this one I'm obviously gonna read because it's a library book. And then I'm gonna read The Witch's Heart as well. And like I said in the book haul, I like, these new takes on mythology. And this is Loki. I'm one of the many Loki fangirls. Although I think I try to be a little more clear-headed about the character, especially after watching John Solo's videos where he talks about the mythologies. And so when you talk about Loki, and Loki is 10 times worse than when Loki's bad in the Avengers. Although I haven't read the comics, so he's done a lot. The problem is that the show, Tom Hiddleston and the comic books make Loki likable, lovable, And So this is probably a little bit closer to how he is in the comics. I mean, it might now. Granted, the author might be influenced also by the Marvel movies and the Marvel comics. I don't know, but it's about. This is Loki's wife and the mother of his children, his 3 children, and John Solo does a really good take on YouTube where he tells that he has a little bit of his own entertaining commentary. He's very good at deadpan humor. But I definitely recommend the channel John Solo if you want to learn more about the actual myths that the Greek and Norse myths. I don't think he really talks about Roman because, from what I've heard, the Roman gods are basically a carbon copy of the Greek gods. Like, it's their own twist on mythology. And he talks about other myths, as well. Like, he has done a few African myths as well. I cannot say myth, because it ends up sounding like an F. I always get my THs and Fs mixed up. He did a couple of those as well. And it's really good, really fun channel. And he doesn't just talk about mythologies, but he also talks about, fairy tales and stuff like that. And Jen Campbell also talks about fairy tales, too. So, there are some really interesting channels that aren't book related. I mean, that are sort of book related, like they're story adjacent. And there's, I also I wish I remember. There's another channel. I can't remember what the channel name is, but he does a series of videos called Lost Adaptation, where he looks at the adaptations of books and kind of compares them between the original book versus the adaptation. And probably talks about why people hate adaptations so much. But yeah, so that's a definite gonna read. Now I have 3 books here that I'm definitely going to. 3 books I also feel like I need to pick up. Okay, so first. So I have this habit where, I'll buy a book, but I don't read it right away, and I like to savor that I just bought it. And then, it sits there for a while, and sometimes I'm trying to change that and read some of the books I just bought. Especially if I have the desire to read them. I've been thinking about some of the books I got from the Roast Office recently, and, I want to read them, but I feel guilty because there's so many other books I've had for years, even before I moved here, that I feel like I need to pick up as well. So this one I got from the dollar store, and it kind of reminds me of Charlene Harris's Suki Stackhouse series in its premise. And it's also blurred by Charlene Harris, who wrote the Suki Stackhouse books, or True Blood to those who know the show. Because it's you have vampires and trolls and goblins being used in Hollywood as extras and stuff like that, or working on Hollywood movies, and our main character is a wannabe actress, but she's right now part of a stunt crew. And there's this movie that they're doing where people are getting, the actors are getting killed off. And our main character somehow gets chosen for the part, and this ends up making her a target for the bad guy, for the antagonist. So I thought I would try it. It seems like a fun story. I should have read it in October, but I didn't pick it up. But it's still, it was a fast read, and it's an urban fantasy. So I would try that and read that. I mean, I don't want this to be another one like with Dracula Cha Cha Cha, where I bought it and then all of a sudden I changed my mind about it later. So I'm going to read this one. And then the 2 other books I feel like I should definitely get to this month are, okay, so if you're a Wheel of Time fan, the TV series is coming this month. So, I wanted to get this done and read. I don't know, I could, but I'm very nervous that I'm gonna fail like getting it finished because I usually get distracted by other books. So and I've been I started going to the library again. So I think I'm gonna get a mirror next time I go. I'll borrow mirror, and then I'll return. Well, after that, when I return, I'll just that'll be my last for now, at least for a while, until I can get some of my other bigger books read. But this is the second one, and the first season, I believe, is going to cover the first two books. And I'm not going to reread the first book, but I'm gonna my goal is just to finish this one, The Great Hun, which is the second book. And I'm kind of nervous. I mean, I hope I can get it read, but like I said, I get distracted by other books constantly, so that's my goal. I'm gonna try to discipline myself to do that. So maybe I kind of failed today because my dad suggested we go up to the town was holding a Veterans Day parade, which is actually, I think my dad said it's actually Veterans Day is actually on a Thursday, but they were holding a little bit of parade, so I was thinking, oh, that'd be fun to get out of the house, go see that. So like I've definitely been trying to get out of the house more and do stuff, and so I don't end up just spending all my time, buying books, which is not necessarily the worst way of life, but I want to do other stuff, or at least try and have some self-control, and I feel like if I'm distracted by other activities, then, so yeah, this is definitely one I want to finish soon. I mean, even if I go past the day that the show comes on, I think I'll still be okay, it's, as long as I get most of it read and finished by the end of the month. So, and it's a streaming show, so it will be always on there so it's not like I have to watch it as soon as it comes out. It's not. And then the other one is one that I had picked when I had. This is the next Dostoevsky book I wanted to read, and originally I had a mass market, but like I said, I've been trying to switch out all my mass markets. Except for with the exception of the ones that I can't find a trade paperback copy of it. But like some of the classic fantasies don't always have a trade paperback copy of them anymore. They just have the mass market because mass market is mass produced. That's actually why I ended up making a purchase from Thrift Books couple days ago because like they only had one left of the edition of the book I wanted in this size, and I was like, okay, just to make sure, just to let my mom know, okay, I'm making a purchase on Thrift Books. And she's like, okay, thumbs up. But so I ended up getting this copy. This was actually another Thrift Books purchase, which I think you've seen it before. So I got it. And I was like, I need to start it because before I get to The Idiot, I'm very tempted to read The Idiot because Kate, I still don't know if I'm saying her last name right, Kate Fell. She says The Idiot, I think, is her favorite Dostoevsky so far, and she says she thinks it might be a representation of autism in that book. But I wanted to read this one first because I decided to read this one first. I picked this one first to read. And that also might be because I had this one first before I got The Idiot. So, oh yeah, I do. I have a hardback copy of The Idiot. So, I decided I need to read this one. And then I'll read The Idiot. And I finally started picking it up again. Now, I haven't gone to the part where I last left off in the mass market copy. It's just where we've been introduced to the main family characters, and we give it a backstory of them and the family relationship. The dad is such an asshole. The family patriarch is such an asshole in this book. And he definitely reminds me of people that people I've encountered before. So obviously I'm kind of far just getting to know the characters still. But yeah, I figured I need to finally get back to this. So those are given next to library books. And then I have I have books I grabbed when I was filming this earlier, but I got interrupted. So I'm refilming it. So first, so I read Age of Innocence, I've read Summer, and I read Ethan Throm twice by Edith Wharton. So I figured this is one of the first ones I bought of Edith Wharton's book. So I figured, and like I said, the ghost stories of hers I'm gonna save for December because that one of the Christmas traditions, especially in the UK, is ghost stories around Christmas time. Which I like that idea. So the ghost stories by Edith Wharton I'm gonna save for next month. But this is 4 of her novellas that I got them from the library, but I never got around to reading them. So I picked up this. So this has a collection of, like I said, 4 novellas. They take place in each novella takes place in different decades. The first one takes place in the 40s, and it's False Dawn. Then we have Old Maid, which is in the 50s. The Spark, the 60s, and New Year's Day is the 70s. So I don't know what any of these are about, but I really like Edith Wharton's writing style. And I bought another one of her books, which I already had on Mass Market, but it was my sister's copy. So I went ahead and bought my own literally last night, of a regular size paperback. It was a Penguin edition. I also was kind of rushed, not that I didn't want to buy it, but I was also kind of rushed last night because it was going to close like in 10 minutes, the store. We just happened to get there just in time for me to walk in for a few minutes and get something. So that's one of the ones I wanted to get. I debated about getting my own copy of it and then just giving my sister back her copy. Because I just, like I said, I'm kind of not liking mass markets anymore. So I'm gonna read these as well. So I thought I would. So, I don't know what these are about, but like I said, I like Edith Wharton. I like her writing. And then another collection of novellas, which I also think it would be a good idea to read some novellas because they're still long. They're still long, like regular novels, but they're not as long as novels. I want to say chapter books, which yes, they are chapter books, but chapter books are for younger readers. So they're like less than 150 pages, I think. But they're not super short either. So so I figure, if I still want to try to meet my goal, I know I don't absolutely have to. It's not going to kill me if I don't, but I would still like to try and put in the effort. At least up until the final day of the year, which is the 31st of December. So, figured novellas would be good. So this is a Stephen King collection of novellas. Plus, it's Stephen King. It's good. Novellas, I think, are probably a good place to start with Stephen King because they're short and he writes some long books. Although there are some of his novels are a little bit short, like Misery. Pet Sematary is not too terribly long either. But I think, his novellas are good because you just get a taste of his stories. So, of course, the problem is that I watched some vlogs of some people reading Kiara Ciara, I think, I don't remember, was reading it with Mary Among Stories. I watched her side of her, her vlog of reading it by King. So all of a sudden I wanted to come back to that one after reading her vlog or watching her vlog. And then last night I watched, I do not know how to pronounce her name. Mayona? I think that's who it was. I don't know if, I apologize if any of you know who have an idea of who I'm talking about. Or if she happens to, which probably not. I mean, it'll be awesome if you did watch my channel. But I think her name is Mayona. I apologize if I'm not saying her name right. But she did a vlog where she read Salem's Lot for the first time, I think it was her first time reading it. And all of a sudden I wanted to reread it, because that was one of my early Stephen Kings. Because I don't like vampires as much as like Jennifer Brooks or even my friend Terry from Florida. But I did like vampires, and I was interested in literature about vampires at the time. Like I was one of the people who loved Twilight, and reading one of the books I grabbed earlier is, A Discovery Witches, which has vampires. And I was Team Edward, and perhaps very young and naive at the time. Although not that, I kind of mean I probably was not that young. I mean, I think I was older than some. Well, I don't know, maybe, I would have to double check on that, how old I was. Although, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't admit how old I was. But, so Salem's Lot, and I really remember enjoying it, but I haven't read it in years, so it's one of the ones I want to reread. And I was going to reread it in October, as I did a Dracula-inspired, readathon type, but it wasn't really, but let's face it, really wasn't a readathon, because I was also trying to do Victober as well. But, so she was, and I all of a sudden was like, I had the urge to finally pick that one up, especially because I got a new copy that's not a mass market again, but I feel like I need to get some of these read. And the only one I'm familiar with is The Mist. And at least I know the miniseries ending, but I think the miniseries is, this ending is actually different from the miniseries, which often happens because people's biggest complaint, even Stephen King, like in It, the movie, the most recent movie, they kind of made fun of it, and I think he kind of finds it. I think he's like, he just laughs it off. It's like, yeah, I suck at endings. Like, I think at this point he doesn't care. He appreciates the critiques probably, but is like, at this point, I'm too old to kick up a fuss. I mean, because I've never heard him I've never heard any controversies where he's complained. Like, if people critiquing him or saying, like, pointing out some of the things he put into his books that makes people uncomfortable, and people are like, people don't like, in the Salem's Lot blog, I point out that he uses, the N-word in his books a lot, and obviously, that's, it's like, is it necessary for him to include that word every time? But anyway, so, yeah, so I figured The Mist is the only one here that I'm familiar with, so I'll read a handful of those. So, I got 2 novella collections, and then I have mentioned this one. I'm going to read this one. This is, it's kind of been compared to being like Twilight, except for with adults and set in college. So our main character, Diana, is a witch, and she's also a college, I don't know if she's a professor or a TA at Oxford, and she's kind of trying to avoid her Wiccan heritage, despite the fact that her aunts kind of, push her into it, try to get her to come back to the coven, and she discovers this mysterious manuscript, and she accidentally unveils its secrets. And then, not wanting anything to do with magic, she puts it back. And now everyone's like, everybody in the community, witch and vampire alike, are obsessed and come after her because she can open the manuscript. And I think it has something to do with a cure for vampirism or something like that. And then we have our vampire, who he's also a professor, and I think he's a professor of one of the sciences. I don't remember which one. And of course, they fall in love. And so it's, that's where the Twilight kind of comes into play. I feel like a lot of these stories, like these with human and vampire romances, the vampires are pretty much the same. You have two types. You have the broody types that hate themselves and see themselves as a monster, and falling in love with a human helps them hold on to their humanity, I think. And then you have the ones who embrace it, who are like, oh, but they also fall in love with human. The same human. So there's this love triangle, and it's like the bad boy versus the good one. And Jennifer Brooks did a video where she talked about her favorite vampire stories, and she talked about how every vampire story, especially the teen ones, have that same element of the broody vampire that hates himself, and then the one who embraces being a vampire. So I'm gonna read that one. Now, I don't know if there's one in here that has the, I don't know what Matthew Claremont is. I think at the time when Jennifer Brooks made that video, which was recently, I don't think she had read the book yet. I think she had been meaning to. But I originally wanted to, I was inspired actually by Jennifer Brooks to consider also doing the Dark Academia readathon, but then I was doing way too much, so. Because I was also trying to do my Victober as well, and I only read 2 books for Victober, so there's that. And then we have, okay, so I want to do a ghost, because it's also a tradition to tell ghost stories around Christmas time, especially in the UK, like with the whole Christmas Carol and all that kind of stuff. So, I am going to I wanted to save some ghost stories for Christmas, like my Edith Warden collection of ghost stories I'm going to save for December, and then I'm going to save another book that I got for, on October 31st, so I already showed it to you guys, The Haunting of Ashburn now, so I've decided I'm going to save that one for December as well. But I wanted to go in and read one of the books that Murphy Napier recommended on her video of good ghost stories. And also I'm trying to expand my horizon, not just read Stephen King books. Which actually, speaking of Stephen King, I think I'm also going to read his son, Joe Hill's book, Nosferatu, also in December, because the bad guy is a thing for Christmas. And that's where he takes his victims to Christmas land. So I thought that would be a good Christmas. But I want to go ahead and read this. Because I want to read it. So in case you didn't watch my book haul, where I talked about this book, so it's like, so this town, there's 2 bodies discovered of 2 girls found in this town of Smith Hollow. One of our main character, Lauren, she is surprised by the bodies, but she doesn't think the police are going to catch him. Especially because her own father's body her own father's killer was never discovered. And everyone else has moved on except for her, including her best friend. So she, I'm assuming she becomes obsessed with this mystery. Especially because she has a vision of herself and her friend being dragged by a monster in the woods. Their bodies being dragged in the woods. Um, and so I hope that was a decent sum up of what's on the back. But I figured I'll go ahead and read this one as well. So, I should probably stop here, but I want to get into historical fiction. It's so hard because like there's a few historical fictions I want to get to, but I think um also let me just go ahead and show you. So this is the nonfiction I'm thinking about I want to read because I've had this for a while, and since we moved here, one of the first books I got when we moved here. I need to get to this, but it's also I'm not going to finish it this month, which is fine, But I do want to, I'm still trying to participate in nonfiction November, but I'm failing miserably every time. I also no, this wasn't my original book I was inspired to read. The original, I don't know where the original book is. Somewhere around here. But it was the SPQR by Mary Beard about Rome, history of Rome. I might read that one, but I'm also thinking about reading this one, which is The Republic by Plato and some of his other works. So it's philosophy. Like I remember it was my uncle who actually recommended reading The Republic. So I saw this for cheap, and it's even the regular price of it is only $7.95. So that's not a bad price for but it would be $3 at the roast off, which is where I bought. Actually, although I might have got this at. I don't know if I got this at the roast office. So if I got it at the roast office, it's only $3. But if I got it, yeah, I think I did, because I don't think I've been into the nonfiction section at the Black Castle books in a while. Last time I went, last couple times I've been. So I think this was a roast office purchase. So which means it was only $3. But yeah, I need to find. I'm looking at my shelf and I already can't decide which historical fiction book I want to read. Sorry about that. I don't know what happens when that happens, when the screen goes black on my end. I don't know what you guys see, if you guys see me or I disappear or something. I'll have to find that. Just looking at my shelf now, there's so many books, but I'm gonna focus on The Great Hunt. And I think December might also be when I read Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell and The Clash of Kings, and then there's it's sorry because I'm looking at them and I'm like, oh, I gotta read that one and that one, and so this is one of the historical fictions I'm looking into, The Luminaries by Eleanor Catton. And I don't know if there's fantasy elements in this or not. I want to say I think there is. I have to look on Goodreads about that. But okay, so this is my Peter Pan one. Second start in the right stream until morning. And obviously I did start it, and I believe the gold rush. It's about the gold rush in New Zealand. And like I said, I don't know if there's fantasy elements in this or not. There might be though. So I'm picking out a bunch, but I'm probably not gonna read all of them. I should probably just focus on the ones I've already shown you. But then I also am thinking about. Okay, so Pillars of the Earth I think will be December. But this is one I definitely probably should consider reading this month, The Physician, because I've already started it. It's like this guy he's a Christian and he wants to be a doctor or a physician, but the best school is in Persia, but as a Christian, he cannot go to a Muslim school. So he pretends to be Jewish, so he can attend that school to be a physician. So this one definitely need to consider reading. And then some of the other ones. These two are the most recent purchases. Why did I say parish? I don't know why parish wasn't on my mind. But The Name of the Rose, Umberto Eco. This was I finally decided to get this one because, first of all, it's a paperback. But also another Jennifer Brooks inspiration. So there's that one, which I don't know what it's about. So, but you know what? I mean, like I said, paperbacks at the Rose office are only $3 and $4 for the hardback. So it's not, it's like. And then this was a more recent of The Crimson Petal and the White. And for some reason, I'm thinking, granted, I'm surprised because even for Terry, this could potentially be a bit much, but as far as size, but for some reason I associate this with Terry from Florida. But I don't see her reading something because this is a bit, I know she reads some of those romance novels that she reads are kind of long too, but I don't know how much longer than this book. For some reason I think of this book and I think of her. I don't know why. Maybe she saw the book or something, or saw a movie adaptation about it. Okay, so it is a guy. He must be, he lives in Scotland. Which I hope, because, it is nerve-wracking when you read a guy's perspective on this kind of thing, because it's like, you don't want to be all saying, guys can't write, like this kind of like female characters, without them being, I don't want to think like that, but sometimes I do. I'm wary, because, guys do the same thing about women. They think women cannot write can't write epic fantasy, and war novels and all that kind of stuff. So, which, by the way, I think recently Robin Hobb won an award for that, so, meh. But, if any guys are, I apologize, if I any have male subscribers, I apologize, I don't mean to offend, I probably shouldn't assume that. But I think both of us, both men and women, get wary about, when we write topics about something that we assume is more for a certain, is more, which we shouldn't do that. We really shouldn't do that. Let's see, how many pages? I'm trying to, 900 pages. Probably won't read that. Almost 900 pages, because that one part I won't read. So is it, I've heard it pronounced Michelle. Which I think is the French pronunciation of Michael. But I think this is Michael Fabier. So I'm gonna try it. Like I said, I really shouldn't, but these are books I probably will end up going into December. But I'm wanting to read books that size. It's very difficult. I never seem to, and then this is another one I got recently. I think I should probably save these for November, but I feel like, I might change my mind, because I feel like this one, Pillars of the Earth, Ken Follett was one of the first more adult authors, more adult literature that I've bought when we moved here. That's not a classic. And, so I've had, his two major series for a while. So I feel like I need to get to this one. So I might need to read this one. I might need to start reading this one. Oh, I need to look at these books because I know I can't read all these big chunkers all in a month, let alone 2 months. So I need to pick, and I feel like this is one I should consider focusing on. And then last, but I'll stop there. Well, actually, I'm gonna show you 2 more books that I might read this month. So again, another Jennifer Brooks inspiration. Now, I don't know if she even likes this book, but I know she's a huge fan of the Borgias and learning about that family. They're a famous Italian family. That's one of her subjects, historical subjects, next to like Vikings. I think Italian Renaissance or Italian is one of her favorites. Jennifer Brooks is. So this is kind of inspired by her. Although I don't even know if she likes this one. But what I want to do, another thing I want to work on not making this is, instead of just, like another reason why I want to read these right away is because what a lot of times ends up happening is that I buy it and then I hear from people on BookTube or I read on Goodreads that people don't like the book and that's a bad representation and all that, so I want to decide for myself. I mean, now, granted, I still at times feel like, this is a commitment, and it's like, if I lose interest, then I lose interest. And, reading reviews on Goodreads and hearing confirmation on BookTube how it's not a good book helps. But while I'm still interested, I wanna pick it up and start reading it. So, yeah, it's so hard because I know I can't get all these big books read. But I want to read them. Like now. And I feel guilty when I leave them sitting there. Because, so I have to make a decision. Okay, so I'll be right back. There's 2 more books I want to show you that. Actually, I might have them here. Well, first of all, this is the book I got. Oh, see, Armadale's another one I should consider reading. Armadale's another one I want to consider picking up this month or in December. I think I'm going to save Our Mutual Friend for December as well. But this is the Edith Wharton book I got last night at the last minute. House of Mirth. And then, okay, so let's see if they're over here. They might not. Oh, and Paradise Lost, I feel like I should save that for December as well. I think I might do that. But these 2. So Marco Polo: The Travels, again, indirectly inspired by Jennifer Brooks because it's Italian, because I think Marco Polo is Italian, and I don't know if she's read it, but I found this at the roast office when I went. Like, I already showed it to you in that book haul. And then, this is one of George Eliot's first published novels. One of her first published works, so I grabbed that as well. It's one of these things where, like, I see these books at the roast office and I'm thinking, I better grab them now while I can. And it's funny that, John, the guy that used to work at the library, volunteer at the library, I should say, and he has the glass eye, which I find a little slightly creepy. He, at this point, he recognizes me every time he sees me. And, he's telling the new woman, I think she had just started working there, the woman who was at the register, and, he was, like, saying that, and all my purchases, I think, were classics. Yeah, she's our classic reader, So, I kind of like, like that where they recognize me. It reminds me a little bit of Gilmore Girls' Stars Hollow, where I live now. And after a while, it's kind of fun to, when I work at Harris Teeter grocery store, and like they'll recognize me there too, and I end up having regulars. So it's kind of fun to, especially when we get new people and letting them know, oh, we have, one thing you'll notice is we have regulars and all that kind of stuff. Like, I've always kind of been a sucker for small towns. I mean, the only downside is it's not exactly the most exciting community, but they do have a lot of fun activities for families to do. Like I said, we went to the Veterans Day parade this morning, and Southern Pines is a cute little town, and there's stuff that happens in the village. But yeah, I'm thinking about picking these up. So anyway, I'm thinking about picking these up as well. But yeah, this is gonna be interesting also because I mean, and I want to read it soon. Start reading it soon. Oh, it belonged to. It has the person the name who originally first belonged to. It's I want to pick it up before I lose interest. Because I mean I can see where something like this might not be the most exciting, and I need to seriously consider reading introductions more often. I did attempt it with the portable Dante reading the introduction, especially for classics like these, or at least like this one, because I feel like it could be, could really, like with Dante, I feel like that was definitely one of those, the portable Dante, it's definitely one of those situations where it's probably good that I read at least a little bit of introduction. So I'm going to stop there before I get too carried away, which I feel like I already have. I mean, I probably won't get to all these, and some of them might go into December. In fact, I know I won't get to all these. So, if you guys have an opinion on what I'm reading, like what you think I should, not counting the library books, but because those are definitely going to be read, but some of the other ones, like especially the historical fiction ones, I mean, if you have an opinion on them, not, don't tell me, like, I mean, an opinion as in, do you think I should, read them or not. I don't need detail. I'm not talking like, oh, I hated that book because of this and this and this. I don't want to know that, but I want to know which one of them do you think I should consider reading. I mean, who knows, maybe by the time you comment, I might already have made a decision, but if you want to put in your 2 cents, feel free to share in the comments below, and I might consider, and it could help me, unless I finally make a decision, but I'm a very indecisive person. So if you guys like this and found this interesting, then give this video a thumbs up. If you haven't yet and you just happen to be watching this video, click subscribe. And if you want to be notified when I post new videos, click the bell icon below. And I will post a link to all my other social media like I always do. And I hope you are staying healthy and enjoying yourself and your reading. And I will talk to you all later. Bye!